Kyle yesterday said that he calls you Gandhi.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Is that not a name does he do that a lot? Yeah, I don't know.
They jab me around the office. There's a lot of names, I guess, but it's all in good heart, good fun. So
After you were kind of the star of the show, I feel, on Sunday, did you get a lot of texts? Or Kyle says he's been sending memes around of you. I don't know. What's that dynamic been like after Sunday?
good from an office standpoint. It's just good old fashioned, just jabbing, just messing with me and my family. I think enjoyed it more than I did. Like I told you, I don't have Twitter or anything, so it's I got flooded from my family, and I was like, geez. It's like they're all asking, why were you going off? I was like, it's no different than any other game. I'm like that every single game. So, but it got noticed. So, I guess it went viral.
Did your guys feed off that a little bit?
I don't know. I think if you're when you play this game, when you step inside the white lines, whether you're a coach or a player, if you can't trigger emotionally, then there's something wrong with you, in my opinion. At least from a defensive standpoint. But it takes a certain mentality to play this game, and it's not for the soft. And so when it is time to go play, it's I'm emotional. Speaking for myself, I know I'm emotionally charged, and but obviously there's a balance of being emotionally charged and still being able to see what's happening in the game, so you can make the adjustments you need to make, and you can help the players with what's happening on the field, so they can go execute. And but like I said after the game, I just feel like speaking for me, I'm out there with those guys. When they have success, I'm so pumped for them, and if they fail on a play, I just feel so responsible to help them. And so I'm there on their highs, I'm there on their lows, and so it's just the football's an emotional game, so it just comes out on Sunday, I guess.
What's your history with being in the booth, and when was the last time you were in a booth?
As a QC, I was in the booth. When I became linebackers coach, I was down on the field. So I've been on the field now for 6 years. I can tell you as a QC, God, if we didn't get the speaking from the Super Bowl season that we had with Seattle, if we didn't get that, if we didn't blow them out of the water, I probably would have had a heart attack that game. I mean, I was amped up, and you're sitting in this little box. Not for me.
But there's the trade-off as a coordinator. You have a better view from up there. You can really do the schematics and the X's and O's and see what's happening more than you do on the sideline. So what is the trade-off for you?
The trade-off for me, it's like a position coach, I guess. You want your position coaches, the guys that they hear every single day down on the field, so that there's no change in voices. We've got Brian Fleury, Johnny Holland upstairs, and Daniel Bullock. They do a great job getting the info down to us. Johnny does a great job with the run game. Daniel does a great job with the pass game. Brian does a great job alerting me with all the different things that are happening, and they're able to, when we get to the tablets, we already have a great idea of what's happening, and so it's even at field level. You have a good idea. You just need confirmation, and they do a great job upstairs. Their eyes are really sharp, and they do a good job communicating. So,
Talked about that. Obviously, the 2013 Seattle defense. You guys now in a lot of these advanced metrics are off the historical start, especially pass defense-wise. Can this defense be that good when you look at the pass rush and the talent and the coverages? Do you think that's a reasonable goal to aspire to?
It's I don't put goals on results. Obviously, you want to be the best team in history. You want the best stats in history, but it's not about that. It's about staying within yourself, staying internal, and making sure that you step onto every time you step onto the football field, practice field, doesn't matter. You're trying to achieve your personal best, and if you're focused chasing somebody else, you're putting yourself in an external world where you cap your limit. And so, but I do feel confident that if our guys stay internal and they stay focused and they stay driven and they stay relentless in what they're trying to achieve personally and as a unit, I don't think there's a limit to what they can achieve. But capping it off by saying we're just as good as, why not better? Why not better than the best ever? And the only way to be the best ever is to be your best every single day. So keep it internal. Don't put a ceiling on what you're capable of, and let's just see what happens.
How has Jimmy Ward dealt with everything that he's been through from an injury perspective? And what was it like seeing that sort of release of energy from him after he made those plays in the second half on Sunday?
For Jimmy, I'm so excited for Jimmy. For what he's been through, and it's not over yet. I mean, he'll tell you the same. He's got 11 regular season games left, plus whatever happens after. So just pumped up for a guy like him who's gone through struggles, who's gone through bad luck, in my opinion, who's been beaten up by outside world, and for him to stay focused, stay positive, stay driven, just waiting for his opportunity to seize the moment. I'm excited for him. Nowhere near done. He's nowhere near a finished product, and he's only going to get better.
When you're preparing for Washington and Keenum didn't play or practice yesterday, Haskins took a lot of the first team reps, but Keenum's supposed to start. Do you prepare as if because you have two backup quarterbacks toward the scout team, do you have one do each guy, and how does that go?
No, we go off of what we see on tape. Like I've said before, our scheme is it's set up to take on anything that a team gives us. We just got to be ready to make an in-game adjustment if it so happens. But we go based off of what we see on tape, based on what we think will happen to us, based on what has shown to happen to us, and then from there we'll go play. And teams usually reveal themselves within the first 15 plays of the game, and after those first 15, we can get a handle of what it is, and then we can go play even faster. So for us, we're going to do what we do. Not to sound arrogant, obviously there's always game plan specific stuff that we do that change things up, but it's not chasing ghosts with regards to who's playing quarterback or not. We're just going to stay focused on the task at hand, and whatever they give us, we'll go play and make the adjustments that we need to.
What kind of job are Nick and CJ doing as the scout team quarterbacks?
They always do great. A lot of times they're the better quarterback than we're actually going to play. So those guys are priceless. Like Coach said it a long time ago, you just don't give away quarterbacks in this league when you have them, which is why we have 3 on our roster. There are 3 starters in our mind.
It's probably impossible to fully do this, but taking the pass rush out of the equation, have you been able to do different things coverage-wise this year, just given the continuity that you've had with the guys in the secondary? Like, how's the secondary playing on its own? I know the pass rush has helped, but how have you been able to improve the defensive backfield?
It goes. It's very hard to separate the two. It goes hand in hand when you've got rush and coverage. There's times where the coverage has saved the rush, and then there's times where the rush has saved the coverage. I've brought up the points where the rush has saved it, but those guys, when they execute, and the best part about the whole thing really is that we're not chasing the routes that we had to defend a year ago. Like I told you, that teams will know our pass rush is affecting teams when they change the way they call football games. And by us not having to chase some of the most exotic concepts that you can possibly see to defeat zone coverage, we can play more deliberate, more on our rules, more with the vision on the quarterback, knowing that the rush will tie to the coverage and we can all be the same. Now, obviously, they're not going to win 100% of the time, but that's where the guys who are playing have tied themselves so much to what we're asking of them in coverage that they are able to defend all those exotics because they know that they can just see it coming now. They can tell when teams are really trying to take a shot. I know the Rams towards the end of the game tried to take a shot on us. I think it was somewhere in the fourth quarter. Ended up throwing a check down, but the overall Russian coverage is so hand in hand to say one is better than the other or one is operating. They are operating cleanly, but that's because the rush is operating the way it is and vice versa. If that makes sense. Hopefully I answer your question.
Yeah.
Because you've had so much success just rushing that front four, how much freedom has it given you to be exotic either when you do dial up a blitz or with your coverage?
You know what? It's you still want to have the element of the ability to go blitz and do all that stuff. If you're just always rushing forward, they could pick it up. You never want to know where you're at all the time. You have to change it up. And so, like I've told you all before, third down is where we can get exotic and change our different looks and all that stuff. And so with third down, even though we have 4 really good ones, we still need to make sure that the offensive line and the running back or the tight end, if they keep him in, have to account for the nickel, the safety, the 2 linebackers, along with the 4 defensive linemen, because if they do, when we do show and come out, that line will be a lot looser for those 4. And the looser we can make the offensive line, the better our rushers are going to be able to go get the quarterback. So always trying to mess with their protection rules and their fronts and trying to attack, just make sure we're being the aggressor with regards to protection.
Well, what are the differences in Vernon Davis now as you prepare for him versus maybe when you were on Seattle staff and preparing for him back then?
I think Coach Callahan said it best, man. The guy's ageless. He still looks like he's got all that speed. He had that really cool play in the opening game of the season where he looked like Vernon of old. Still remember a couple of years ago he got us for a big one when we were in man coverage. So he still looks really good. I know he hasn't played in a couple of weeks, but what he's been on tape, he still looks fantastic, to be honest with you.
Robert, Kyle said after the game Sunday that if he was allowed to, he'd wear a Jimmy Ward jersey on the sideline. Is there a jersey you would wear if given the chance?
Can I cut a piece of all of them on there and make one big jersey? I'd do that.
What was going through your mind when Solomon got that big sack of Jared Goff?
For excitement for Solomon, talk about what he's been through, and he's been grinding. We've been able to play him inside a little bit more with having Bosa and Ford here, and he's getting better every single week. He plays his tail off. He's doing some really good things. I think his snap count last week was up there in terms of what he's had, and so for him, he's only going to get better in my opinion. But I was just really excited for him because you could just see in his excitement how big of a deal that was for him, and so now he just needs to stack it up, continue building off it, and keep getting better.
A lot of young guys that are kind of, go ahead.
Was that, talking about Solomon's playtime, was that a matter of just keeping him out there because he was effective, or was that the plan going in?
Well, DJ had gotten hurt, and he got an opportunity to get a few more reps, and that's what led to all that stuff. So when he was rolling, and it is part of the high hand, he was rolling, he was doing really well, and we just kept it rolling. Kasarik thought he was doing a great job and just kept going with the plan, and so he's going to have another opportunity to seize that moment if DJ's not able to play again. So.
You got a lot of young guys kind of experiencing success for the first time. How important has Sherman been in kind of keeping them grounded, but also keeping them motivated to, not put a cap on themselves?
It's Sherman's his growth from his rookie year when I was there as a QC till now has been. He may say he's always been the same, but I promise you, he is a wise man. So he's awesome. He is a pleasure to have. He's been everything and more that we've expected from a leadership standpoint. But to answer your question with those young guys, we addressed it to the defense earlier this week that for the most part, everyone in that room has seen the worst of the worst that this organization has had over the last couple of years. They have been told they're not good. They have been told that they shouldn't be here. They have been told that they should all be cut. We have all been told that we should be fired. It's just so don't forget what it's like to be on the other side of the fence, and don't think that just because you're being patted on the back that you are going to continue to have success. We got to this point because we've been working our butts off through adversity, through all the trials and tribulations that go with losing, and don't forget what it took to get here, and don't forget what it's going to take to keep it. And so their mindsets are all in the right spot. They are absolutely grinding. They're focused, and they're excited to get out there on Sunday.
How does the loss of a nose tackle make Solomon Thomas more active?
Say that
Well,
one.
you said that because of DJ Jones's injury.
It's like we talked about during OTAs and training camp. It's 4 quarters. Just throw them out there and let's go play football. And it's 4 D linemen. They all know every single spot. You could see Buck in there. You could see Armstead in there. You can see them all in there, and it doesn't matter. And it's our philosophy that if we put 4 D linemen on the football field, you have to know and play every single technique. And so Saleh, at that moment, got an opportunity to get in there and play just as a change-up, and he was having success, so we kept it rolling. And so that's really the genesis behind it. It doesn't really matter who's out there. You should be able to go play it.
Was he significant in the adjustment against the run? Obviously, you guys made one to start stopping him.
Solomon? They all were, to be honest with you. And by all, I'm talking about the coaches and the players. To get everybody together, Johnny Holland in the box talking about the run game, and the Kasera, Kiffin, everybody just talking about what we just saw, where the breakdowns were, and what we needed to get done, and then getting it to the players. And thankfully, I mean, the offense had a really nice drive to give us that opportunity to go through that. But to be able to get it to the players, and then the players to go execute it to perfection, because it is hard to do some of the things that they did without really getting much practice at it, and then it showing up in the game. So credit big time to the players to be able to go out there and execute it with no panic, and to be able to put all that stuff to bed so they can get back to their normal game and go to a play. So it's really great by the players.
Last one?
About an offense having their script, first 15 or whatever. Do you guys have a script of defenses that you want to show early in the game to see how a team?
No, we've got our game plan. We have an idea of how we want to present ourselves, if you will. But for the most part, it's we don't go into a game with 50, 60, 70 calls. We have our defense. This is what we are, and really it's more of what have they put on tape? What do we need to do to stop it? And what kind of things do we want to show within that first 15? So we know how to respond when they get out of the first 15, basically. So we're just really clued into that first 15 to see what the game is going to be about and how we can make changes to make sure that so we can play. It always is, yeah. Just to see how they approach us, what type of game plan they've come up with, what type of routes have they runs, and then from there, once we're out of the first 15, we can start really honing in and dialing in our coverages.
All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.